Hey there, guys. It's Joe Simons, like Diamonds, the host of the Salt Strong podcast. And if you are currently not an Insider member, a Salt Strong Insider member, I've got a free gift for you today. Let me tell you the backstory real quick. We started looking at our almost 60,000 Insider members, and we're trying to find out, all right, how do they find out about Salt Strong? When did they join? Was there a reason they joined? And the one thing that we keep seeing over and over again with almost all 60,000 members is that they consume some free content before they actually joined the club. So we said, heck, wouldn't it be cool if we had one place where we could put a lot of our best stuff right in front of prospective people who might want to join the club in the near future? And so that's what we did. And it's over at saltstrong.com/free. And it's just a little sampling of our Tide platform and our smart fishing tides, and even a free pack of Slam Shady lures, one of our top selling lures of all time, actually the top selling lure of all time, the fishing school, the beginner's guide to inshore saltwater fishing, a couple little mini courses on both live bait for those of you that you love using live bait, and also, of course, on lures as well, because we believe, to be a complete angler, you need to do both. So that's all yours completely free over at saltstrong.com/free. Of course, if you are a member, we got a lot of stuff for you coming, including free Slam Shady every month, the tackle tester, we give out free tackle every single month, have a lot of new layers, including the water temperature layer inside of Smart Fishing Spots, and a whole lot more coming here over the next 60 days. So we appreciate you big time. Once again, if you're not a member, go to saltstrong.com/free. Otherwise, enjoy this episode.
Welcome to the Salt Strong Fishing Podcast. Salt Strong has been helping saltwater anglers catch more fish in less time for 10 years and is now the largest and most trusted saltwater fishing community in America. If you want to catch more saltwater fish, then keep listening. If you want to speed up your fish catching results even faster, then join the private insider community at saltstrong.com. Here's your host, Joe Simons. Like diamonds.
Hello, Salt Strong Nation. Joe Simons, like diamonds, and
Hey, Luke Simons.
like diamonds. We recently just went fishing in a brand new spot that we had not fished before. We picked 3 smart spots from the Smart Spots fishing app, and we fished them. And we're going to talk about what happened. It wasn't perfect, be honest, but we did catch a lot of fish. We saw a ton of fish, so we were definitely in the right spot at the right time. Smart Fishing Spots was very, very accurate. And there was a couple of spots that were better than others. And we even have some on the water stuff. I don't know if we'll be able to show it in here. We'll definitely put it out there on social media and inside the insider community. But we really just wanted to kind of show just real life what happened last week when we decided to go to the other side of the state, an area we don't fish as often, and fish a whole new city that we hadn't really done any reports on a really long time, been a couple years. And we never actually fished this particular area, went to a brand new boat ramp. Boat ramp was marvelous, by the way. Maybe we shouldn't say it publicly because we don't want everyone showing up at it. But man, that was a really nice setup, and what a fun day. So we want to pull up the map, Luke, and talk about that. And maybe we'll mention, if you don't know what Smart Fishing Spots is, that is the app. It's both, an actual native app, meaning one you'd find in the App Store, and it's also a desktop version. A lot of, there we go.
Gotta give me access. And so Joe and I, we've never fished the zone, and we're basically putting the full Smart Fishing Spots platform to the test. It does more than just show spots. Obviously, finding spots is what most people like best, but also shows boat ramps. It helps you do catch logs. It has obviously all the tides and weather, like it has radar, it has depths, it has everything you possibly could need to both find the fish and get to and from the fish and as safely as possible. So let me go ahead and pop this puppy up, and I'll actually even show you the spots we fished this particular day. Because as we know, spots are a dime a dozen. I want you to know how to find them. So we actually show most of our spots, especially to members. But in this case, we'll just go ahead and do it. Can you see?
Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
Okay. So this is within Smart Spots. And so let me see if I can move. Okay, cool. So this is just one of the maps, and we have multiple layers. But what these zones are, we have a lot of different layers. As you can see, there's a ton of helpful stuff in here. And this video, we're going to be talking about Smart Spots, which are these ranges. So I turn it off and I turn it on. You can see those ranges. That's basically the system looking at the tides and weather. And wherever this red dot is, this red line is, that's where it's going to rank, the spots. So we're fishing an incoming tide, and so again, let me get this thing out of the way. Sorry, I got too many screens open here. So when I was doing the analysis, these three zones were the zones that popped up. And not only that, we just recently added an AI game plan. And so we literally were following this system to the spots. And then we also followed the details in the AI game plan to go fish those spots. And what this does is right now it's looking at the tides and weather, and it's going to talk about, how to fish that spot based on the conditions, including which lures to use. And guess which lures we use? Just the ones that were recommended in here.
And to get there, if you guys are wondering how to get this AI game plan, I don't know if Luke, you showed them, but you just click on one of those spots. So you actually just hover your mouse over it, because I saw some people ask in a prior video. So you hover your mouse over a smart spot, and then that pops up, and then you can hit. And it literally is bringing in real-time data. It's analyzing all the weather, and it can even go out in the future. I mean, it's pretty stinking awesome, and it tells you all this. It's like having a full-time fishing guide in your back pocket.
Yeah, and so obviously this data gets updated like every 15 minutes as the weather gets updated. But basically, in the rigging part, it was talking about using these similar lures: the Prawn Junior, the 2.0 paddle tail. And it mentioned the tweaker as well. So Joe was throwing the 2.0, I was throwing the tweaker, and these, let me just go ahead and X out of this. Yeah, so how we found it is click on it, and then click on this generate AI game plan for the details. Obviously, the summary can be seen in this quick dashboard. But what these other little markings are, these are catches. So you can see literally within the zone, this was one of the snook, right? Pretty awesome. And when I upload my pictures, I can upload pictures 5 years old, and it'll plot it on your map, right? It'll plot it on your private map, and it'll pull the tide and weather details from the exact time and location of your image. Pretty awesome. Talking about having the most accurate catch log ever. Years ago, I was literally printing tide charts and marking on it on the actual paper and storing it in a little storage area, and I would have done anything to have this. So I think this is one that Joe caught. Yeah, how cool is that?
Right where they're supposed to be.
Yeah, right there supposed to be. And then the other one, so we fished 3 of them. We caught fish in 2 of the 3. So here's one of the other ones. We caught 1 fish in the zone, and obviously these zones, it's not going to be perfect, right? We have professionals who select these different spots, and they go in and out based on the conditions. In general, right, the inside the spot is usually best, but in pretty much all cases, I fish around them as well. So we caught 1 fish in it, 1 fish near it. And the third one that we fished was this one right down here. We did see some fish, but there were some people posted up like right here in the middle. And you can see this is like a little bay, and the entrance to the bays are usually the best. There was somebody already there, so we just fished the outside and then bailed. We did have a strike right here in this point before we saw those people right around the corner. So life is too short to try to get too close to somebody else, and there's a ton of different spots to try. So we bailed after that one, and then basically went back and fished this shoreline afterwards. So it was a fun trip.
It really was, and just proof that it can work. And I want to address something because I've seen it come up a bunch. Luke had mentioned earlier that there's new data coming in every 15 minutes, and that is true. But the question that comes up is, well, hey, I didn't see the AI game plan change every 15 minutes, or I didn't see the spots change every 15 minutes. And that doesn't mean just because we're getting new data that they're going to change. I mean, fish do move, but they're not moving miles and miles every 15 minutes. What does change sometimes is the strike score. It can change every 15 minutes, or the hourly feeding level projections. Look, if you want to pull up the tides, because a lot of people have asked, what do those green and blue bars mean? That's the kind of stuff that you might see changing constantly, right? But just like any forecast, if maybe the weather's a bad example because they're usually really far off, but if you made a forecast and you get new data and things don't change, of course, it doesn't mean it's always going to change every single second. But I just want to address that, because don't expect the smart spots to be completely moving and going all over the place every 15 minutes. That's just not how they're built. You might see some of the colors change based on even on a day on incoming or outgoing as we get new data, but you're not going to see like this whole thing just completely transform every 15 minutes. I just want to make everyone aware of that.
But it's all, that's how nature is, right? Like as the tides move in and out, it's rare that like fish aren't going to move 3 miles away. They're just going to shift. If the spot is good, and typically smart spots, we purposely choose spots that have structure in various different depths. That way, no matter what, if the tide's high or if the tide's low, there's still structure for those fish to be feeding around. So a lot of these spots will actually stay at least highlighted pretty much all day long. And as far as where the fish are, they're going to be somewhere in that zone. So let me show you as another cool feature that would have the 1 foot contours. And so you can see this zone in particular, it has some areas that are obviously up to the shoreline and then all the way out to 5 feet. So at low tide, the fish are still in the area. They're just clearly not holding next to the shoreline because it's about dry. They're just going to shift out to the outside edges of the flat of the bar. So I think that's a lot of people overthink it. Oh man, like, fish move around, the spots don't move much. Like a good spot is a good spot. It's just that the fish will move within the zone. So I just want to make sure people don't make that mistake, because we used to just go to the same spots over and over again, and just we would happenstance find the right spot, but we never really got good until we started saying, okay, this is a good zone. The fish were here an hour ago. They're not at the same spot. Now we start moving around and find that they're just pushed out a little bit deeper or a little bit shallower on an incoming tide.
Yeah. And this was that area, right, that we spooked up those monster like overslot snook, right? I mean,
and this is an obvious spot too. Like this is a big point. So this was not a surprise that there were a lot of fish here, but so obviously, the other spots are a little bit less, you wouldn't really think as much about, but there was a good amount of fish here. We hooked up some reds. We didn't take pictures of all the jacks. They're jacks and ladyfish like every cast if we wanted to catch them. But the reds and snook were pushed up along the shorelines, and it's really what we were targeting. But it was just a cool chat. Oh, let me talk about the boat ramps. So finding the ramps is easy as well. So the launch spots, those are really for kayakers. So that's just something that you can launch anything that floats. If you have a boat, I was using a boat this trip. So we have the boat ramp layer, and we zoom out, and these red ones are the boat ramps. And then here you can see some details about it. You can see if it's public or not. You see the hours if they have hours, and yeah, just how cool is it to be able to find everything you need all in one place. I just wish I would have had access to this, 10 plus years ago. But at least now that it's here, it's awesome. And so this is the ramp we used. It ends up being super nice and in very close proximity to the spots that we were fishing. Oh, by the way, yeah, check this out too. Another spot that we fished. Here's another spot, and there you go. There's three fish that we caught. So these spots, I forgot about that one. We didn't fish that one, but these spots flat out work. And the cool thing about it, the coolest thing is the AI game plan did a surprisingly good job. This is very new, and there's still improvement to be made. But even though it's new, the recommendations were spot on.
Yeah, we literally said we're only going to fish spots that were smart fishing spots, and we're going to follow what AI game plan tells us to do. And can you turn on the launch spots? I'm curious to see, because we did see a few kayakers out there. I'm wondering if they put in nearby here. And actually, this there's a couple up north and a couple down south. Okay.
Here's a launch spot too. This is a little boat ramp as well. This was actually where I was originally going to launch. It's just kind of small, so it was a little bit longer drive from where we were coming from. So that's why I selected that north one.
And then maybe go to public lands. I'm curious to see, because we saw a bunch of people and we could hear them talking. It's down the very bottom. We had some.
Yeah. So for wade fishermen, yeah, good point.
Oh yeah.
So for wade fishermen, you can access this, assuming there's this trail. Yeah, there are people walking on this trail. So yeah, for I guess wade fishermen can go out here and fish that same
Yeah,
zone.
remember there was a pier. Those ladies were asking us how we did, and then there was a trail that had openings in the mangroves. I don't know, every 100 feet or so, so you could actually fish this area. It was pretty cool. Yeah, that'd be a great little wading area, man, to go up there and hunt down those big snook. There were some monster fish on that flat.
Yeah, but the cool thing is, just going through here is there's just so many good spots to fish. It's mine. For years, I was like, we would find a spot and we catch some fish, and that was like super private. Like we wouldn't tell anybody, and it was. And then if we were going fishing like the next time out and someone was in our spot, it was like devastating. And now it's like, oh, okay, cool. Somebody's in the spot. Oh, well, let's just go to the next one. And in many cases, that's a better play anyhow. But yeah, as you'll see, there's a ton of different spots to fish. The green is public land. The lighter yellow is the smart spots. And it's just countless. And that's just, again, another great aspect of saltwater fishing, that there is a ton of different styles and zones to go out there and have some fun in.
All right, so I got a question for you, because I've seen this come up in the community where we get some newer anglers who are going out. They're excited. They've watched, some of the game plans, because we also do real game plans with real life coaches every week as well. And they go out and like, man, I didn't catch anything. Assuming they're just dead set on using lures because they've caught stuff on like shrimp before. I'm assuming you're going to say trout, just target some trout, or even like the massive school of jacks we found. I know they're not as predictable, but what would you say to someone man, I'm going to use lures and I just want to get tight lines. I just want to catch some trout.
I would say pick a half dozen spots. In this system, the smart fishing spot system is the easiest and quickest way to do it. So pick a half dozen of them, go to them, and then spend your time in the ones that have the most wading birds and or mullet, ideally both. So this is the zone that had the most mullet and wading birds this particular day. Obviously, the food moves, and when you see wading birds and mullet, there's going to be predators, redfish, trout, and snook usually, but find the life, and that's where the fish are going to be. And then once you're there, then be very, very careful about being quiet. Most of the time when people are struggling, they're going to spots that are good and not catching fish. If you have like this Lame Shade 2.0, if you have the lures that this system recommends, and as long as you get those lures in front of the fish before they know you're there, you're probably going to catch some fish. And so a lot of it comes down to stealth, is be very quiet. If you have a trolling motor, make sure to never hit the spot lock button when you're up in the shallows. That's the best way to spook an entire flat. When that big pulse of water goes out, that's like the number one mistake I see people make. Spot lock is great for fishing on reefs and deep water. It's horrible for the shallows. Never use it in shallow water. Or if you're in a kayak, you're banging stuff around, dropping loud anchors with chains. Never do that up in the shallows. That's the best way to get skunk. So a lot of it, and in the fishing school, we do have a fishing school, and in there it talks about positioning and how to position based on the wind and the current. There's a lot of factors that we can't really talk about in everything in this one video, but go through the fishing school. The answers are in there. And then thirdly is equipment. So if you're using these lures, which are usually pretty lightweight with like a medium heavy rod and 30-pound braid, you're not going to be able to cast very far, so you probably won't catch many fish. These Florida especially gets a lot of pressure, and if you're fishing Florida waters and you're not able to cast far, you probably won't catch many fish at all. So make sure to have the right gear. And again, the fishing school goes through all the right gear that you need to maximize your results of success.
We'll just be specific. We have 10-pound braid or less in this entire trip, and still caught a ton of fish, even some nice fish.
Yeah, and with braid too, it casts incredibly far. You can feel everything better. You get better hookups, and the strength, even though it says 10 pounds, with a good knot, like with the FG knot, this we've been using J-Braid 8 grand. And I've had that with the FG knot, 10-pound braid to a 30-pound leader break at 26 pounds. So that 10-pound line is a whole lot stronger than 10 pounds, especially with a good knot.
Yep. All right. Well, let me, this is from my phone. This is the spot that Luke just highlighted where we caught the fish in the first spot. This is what it looked like when we got there. Look at all of those birds. Can you see that, Luke, by the way?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. So, I mean, look at all of these white birds. This place was loaded. You can see right here, there's some bait fish moving. Over here, you're going to see more. That's a school of mullet. That's what mullet look like when they're moving around in a school. I mean, this was like a little cove. You got a bird right here in the water feeding.
Yeah. And one of those pins, like that the snook that I mentioned, that pin that Joe caught the snook, that's it, is right there along that shoreline. So again, yeah, there's that. Yeah, I caught one right next to where that bird is too. So it is shocking how accurate these spots can be, especially if you use the on the water stuff like looking for the egrets and mullet. This time of the year, egrets and mullet, if you find that combination, it's really not a matter of if there's redfish and trout, it's just how many. And the biggest hurdle is to not spook them, because when it's calm like that, they're incredibly spooky. And if you don't have a good approach, you're gonna scare them before you can get the lure to them.
And long cast for sure. And good cast too. I mean, as we were approaching, it was long cast. Once we got closer, it's good cast, being able to skip a little bit in the mangroves. We caught quite a few fish that way. Like I said, we saw kayakers and you could have weighed fish. This is really something that anyone could have done. And there's spots like this all over the country. This is just one city that we randomly picked. So we'll keep doing more of these. It's fun. It's fun for us to get out and try a new area. And fun to kind of just follow what the game plan says. So let us know, maybe in the comments where you want us to go next. My
personal goal is to fish every mile of Florida on both coasts. I have most of the Gulf, like the Central Gulf. I feel like I've accomplished a lot of that, so I'll be doing a lot more trips over to the Atlantic side. But I'd love to get suggestions on where to go next, and it's a good excuse to go out there and fish some more.
That's right. And then Pat on our team, if you guys don't know his story, when he first joined us, we didn't have a job opening for him, and he said, "Hey, I'm the point. Kids are out of the house. I've been following your stuff forever." He was a customer, an insider member. And he goes, "I want to prove it can work everywhere from Texas to Virginia." And so my wife and I bought an RV, a little trailer, and we want to do this. If you'll pay me to do it, I'll do it. And I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And Pat obviously has turned into just a phenomenal coach. And if you haven't seen his stuff, he documented the entire thing. He started in South Texas, way deep South Texas, and fished every area, every major city and area, Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, all the way around up into Virginia, and caught fish in every single place using the smart fishing spots, using the same lures, all the stuff that we recommend. So we know this stuff works, not just, in Vero Beach, Florida, or in Tampa, Florida, but everywhere. Luke, you nailed it. So much of it is either wrong equipment or wrong positioning. I mean, we see so much of that, of spooking the fish from just kind of dumb stuff, right? From dropping things in the boat or your kayak to having 20 or 30 pound braid when you need 10. It's the stuff that we all did, right? There was no one teaching us. We thought we needed 20 or 30 pound braid to catch a redfish, because we're like, well, hey, what if we get one of those big ones? We want to be prepared. And that was a massive, massive mistake.
Yeah, we have that ladder of importance that we talk about within the member training, and it's all about, okay, if we could do one thing good and it'll make everything else easier, what is it? And it's obviously to find the fish. So when members are struggling, first step is, okay, where are you fishing and when are you going there? And then if they're actually going to good spots, then we'll go down. Yeah, there it is. Then we'll go down to positioning, right? Because if you get a good spot and then you don't spook the fish, odds are they're gonna eat whatever's in front of their face. Unless there are some days where they're super finicky, but those days are rare. Saltwater fish are actually very aggressive. As long as you don't spook them, then your cast, right? Can you position well? Okay, how's your cast? And part of that is the equipment you're using, the rod and the line, especially for spinning gear. So do you have the right equipment to enable yourself to cast as long as you need to? Then the lure selection and then equipment, equipment kind of goes down into the lower level details. But yeah, that's for many years, I would focus on the bottom one. I would go out and buy like a $200 to $300 reel, thinking that was going to solve my problem. In reality, I was just not good at picking spots. I wasn't catching anything more. And then I felt even worse, where now I'm still not catching fish, and I've blown all my money on high-end reels that now I feel even more foolish that I'm not catching fish with. So yeah, don't make the mistake that we did and go out and buy a bunch of equipment before you lock in those top parts of the ladder first.
Yep, that is it. Cool. And if you guys want access to smart fishing spots, the smart fishing game plans, our community, it's all at saltstrong.com/pricing. You can come join us and the almost 60,000 others in there. Just an amazing group. Everyone's super helpful. There's no cursing, no negativity, no belittling. It's anglers helping anglers. And now we have chapters. We got some amazing chapter leaders who are essentially running like a small group at church. It's just awesome people getting together once a month, and in every major city. I think there's 26 of them now that are going on every month. Great place to meet new friends, to get more intel. There's usually some speakers, some local, experts that come speak and do giveaways, raffles. It's just a awesome group. So.
Yeah, and if you're still on the fence, just know that we have 2 massive guarantees that nobody else does. We know this works. We've seen how many lives it's changed, where just people are having their families get better together and having more fun on the water. Is that we guarantee you're going to be catching more fish than ever before, while saving money on all the tackle you need. So we have all these tools for finding the fish. We have the lessons and the educational material for finding and catching them. And then on the tackle side, members get 20% or more off of pretty much everything in the tackle store. And now that we're over 50,000 members, we have a ton of different third-party vendors that are basically sponsoring the club. We don't accept sponsorships, so that we can give true guidance on which rods and reels are best. But for different third parties who want to get involved, is that they give members discounts on a ton of things. So most members actually save more than the dues on the equipment that they're buying anyhow. So I just recommend, if you're on the fence, just give it a year, give it a try. And if at any point in that 365 days you don't think it's well worth the cost, just let us know and you'll get a full refund. No questions asked. So and
that's for the annual. That's what the majority of our members do. Just no brainer. Save money, and it's guaranteed for a year. Monthlies are guaranteed for the month. And yeah, I would say anyone who's guaranteeing you to catch fish can't do it for a year. Run away. It either you believe in it or you don't. So we believe in it. We've seen the results now of doing this for over 8 years with this Insider Club, and the results just keep coming in. And it's everything we wished was around when we were making that transition from freshwater fishing. We used to go out there and chase ditch pickles, and it was a tough transition. There wasn't much education like we have out there. There wasn't an awesome community. You had a bunch of rude people on these forums that weren't really helpful. And so we've tried to change all that and transform the experience for people. And we have really good anglers, and we have full-time guides and people who just want to be around other good people. And we have a lot of people who have now hit kind of the climax, if you will, of their careers or guide, and they just want to go out there and help. So we've attracted some of those people. So it's not just for beginners and not just people in Florida. We have members in all 50 states, if you can believe it now, which is kind of crazy. In Florida, Texas, the Carolinas, basically Texas up to Virginia is the main area where I'd say the majority of them are. But yeah, we got something for everyone. So hope you will join us over there. And if you're already a member, thank you guys for all the love, all the support. A lot of new things coming, as you already know. Every time you check your app, it seems like there's an update. It's because we're constantly putting new intel in there. So do make sure your app is updated so that you have the latest and greatest. We just put water temps in there, so we have water temps, and that'll just keep getting better and better as well. So a lot of new stuff coming. So go check us out there at saltstrong.com. Otherwise, leave a comment. I think we'd ask, where do you want us to go fish next? Where should we make a road trip? And we'll try to make that happen this year. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you big time. Whoop, whoop.
See ya.
Want more fishing tips, shortcuts, and tools so you can catch more fish per trip? Then head over to saltstrong.com now and join the movement. Tight lines, and thanks for listening.